Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the Super Burnside X. The Burnside X is Super's high-performance shortboard. It's also the board that our team rider Brett Barley rides here in Cape Hatteras and around the world as his mid-range board. He rides the Fling for small surf, the Burnside X for what he calls rippable surf, and then the Pig Dogs for when it's barreling. And this is a board that is as high on the high performance range as shapers typically go for a high performance shortboard. And so when we say high performance, what does that mean? Because high performance for different people means different things. Basically, they're trying to make the board fit into every curve of the wave and generate as much speed as possible on the wave and not have the board be holding the surfer back at all. So when you're talking about that, comparing this board to other shortboards, that means that it's going to have a little bit narrower nose here. And most of the boards that we're always talking about were like wider nose, flatter rocker, wider nose, flatter rocker. But this board actually has a narrower nose and it has more rocker in the front of the board. Typically the widths are a little bit narrower as well. And then out the back as well, more rocker here and a little bit narrower tail here as well. So narrower in the front, more rocker, narrower in the back, more rocker out the back. And also throughout the entire board, it has more foam shaved off of the rails the entire way, so a nice refined rail. These boards, you're gonna ride them a little bit longer than your stubby shortboards or your hybrids, and it's just gonna give you the fastest reaction time rail to rail when you're generating speed, the least amount of nose to hang up on late drops, and also the least amount of nose to be throwing around in the turns as far as weight and just the resistance of the nose through the turns. And then the most rocker to fit into the curve of the wave. Not only the most rocker here, but also the most curve here throughout the entire length of the board, again, to fit into those curves of the wave. Now looking at this board, which we will put here, and the toy, which is Super's, I would say probably one of their more conservative, if not their most conservative or accessible shortboard. You look at the boards, especially just as clear PU polys with the same tail patch and the same logos. They look pretty similar, but when you go through the differences, you can actually see quite a bit between the two. So let's lay them down, because I think that's actually the best way first, is to lay them down and you look at the rocker. What I'm looking at here is I'm looking at the rocker, and I'm also looking at the tails and the noses. Now, while standing up, side by side or on different pages of our website or in different, magazines that they look the same, when you put them side by side, that's when you can kind of look at the differences, and it doesn't take a lot of subtle differences, especially when you add them up, to make a big difference in the end. So starting down here, you can see that the toy has less tail rocker, the tail's closer to the floor, and it also has a wider tail block right here, the exit of the board. So if we just do a pretty crude measurement right there, let's throw like a shock on there, and then move the shock over here, you can see that my thumb is about 3/4 of an inch past the width of the board. So this has a little bit narrower tail block than here, and it also has more rocker than here. Also feeling the rails, these rails back here are super, super thin, where this has a little bit more foam back in here. When you go forward on the board, again, side by side, you can tell at that 12-inch measurement, this is narrower here across this way than this board, than the toy is. And it also has more nose rocker off the ground than this board. This board is a little bit flatter and a little bit wider, and as we know, that translates into easier paddling and the ability to catch waves easier. What this is going to translate into is the ability to fit that narrower nose with more rocker into the curve of the wave better, and then also be turning off of that nose rocker as well as the tail rocker. So again, individually on two different pages, it's kind of hard to tell the difference, especially when you have two boards that are both clear, like this, clear PUs. But when you go through the differences, it's easy to like kind of pick them out one by one from one end of the board to the other. So again, it's the Burnside X. It's Super's high performance advanced shortboard, and this board's going to work really good in good waves. It's obviously not a groveler, and it's not a shortboard meant for junky waves either, although a pro level surfer can ride it in junky waves. This board works well in good, it doesn't necessarily have to be big either. It just needs to be a good lined up curvy wave with some push to ignite like all these different features in the board and get them in their sweet spot. You know, both the outline and the rocker and where the board's going to feel at home is in punchy, decent sized surf that, you know, that has the ability to drive a board like this. So it's the Super Burnside X. As with all Supers, it comes with that layer of S-glass on the deck to help reinforce the deck of the board. And then all Super boards, when you get them from Reel, have come with high-performance fiberglass fins standard in the price. So all of the Burnside X's are all thrusters. They're all tri-fins. So that set of fins, if you were buying them separately on the rack, would be $90. It comes with the board as part of the price that you see on the website. So both of those features, the S-glass deck and that high-performance fin set, add a lot to the value of this board when you're looking at this board versus other full-on high-performance shortboards. It's the Super Burnside X. If you have any more questions about this board, you can give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or you can check us out online, realwatersports.com/surfing. If you want to see this board in action, we definitely recommend checking out Brett Barley's Super Quiver video, and he goes into detail about why he likes this board. And also, there's some really good footage of him ripping on it, so you'll learn a lot from that video as well as far as what's going on with this board. Again, it's the Super Burnside X.
My name's Brett Barley, a Reel team rider and SUPERbrand Surfboards team rider from Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, and I'm here to break down my Super Quiver with you.